Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us today on this historical day. I'm your MC today. My name's Daryl McKay. My traditional name is Leq'a. I don't know where to begin except to express our excitement and jubilation as the LMS communities for this long journey that we began in around about 2011. So for over the last decade, Leq'a, Mathexwi, and Semá have worked diligently to arrive today here and execute this agreement. The agreement was formerly known as a reconciliation agreement that came from legislation that was passed by the province of British Columbia. We, over the last little while, have had some discussions related to what we were going to call our agreement. And I have to give some credit to Mathexwi, governing body member Stan Morgan, and Chief Alice McKay for raising a very valid point with the LMS group. The story behind that is that reconciliation would insinuate that previously there was a relationship that we were reconciling, but the fact is since contact, assimilation and colonialism was very much the reality for our people. But over the last decade, especially in the last approximately 5 years, things have seriously began to change for us. And what has transpired from that is the decision was made that we would change the reconciliation agreement to Leq'a, which is together we paddle. Essentially, friends work together for the same goals and commitments, and in our culture, we refer to that as paddling in a canoe. If we all paddle in the same direction, we'll arrive at our destination together. So that's a little bit of the backstory behind us renaming the agreement. Before I call on our first speaker, I just want to recognize past and present board members of the LMS Society. I think that so many people have played such a huge role in us arriving here today. But to begin, when the board was first assembled, each community, Leq'a, Mathexwi, and Semá, appointed two directors to the board of the LMS. And originally, Leq'a had appointed myself, Daryl McKay, or Leq'a, Councillor Barb Leggett, and Mathexwi had appointed Chief Alice McKay and governing body member Cynthia Collins, and Semá had Councillor Clint Tuttle and Councillor Murray Ned. Of course, over the course of 10 years, things come up and people have other duties and responsibilities to take on. So luckily for the LMS Society, we had the honor of having Chief Alice Thompson and Chief Dalton Silver join us with the board. I also want to recognize our tech team members that have put in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into the work that they've invested in with us along the way. And to recognize those individuals, it's governing body member Stan Morgan, Councillor Brenda Morgan, both from Mathexwi First Nation, from Semá, Richard Hall and Craig Hogan, and Leq'a's Ron Smith. I also want to recognize our community members. So we owe so much to our members, and they have definitely been the driving force behind our success today. Without our community members pushing us and ensuring the consistency at our table, we wouldn't be standing here before you today. Our communities have continued to maintain us in our leadership positions throughout this whole process over the last decade. For many of us, elections can come anywhere from 2 to 3 years apart. And as I mentioned, over the last decade, we've maintained some serious consistency among the LMS to get us here today. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our drumming group. And just a quick fact that I'll share with you before they come up and join us is that when we drum or sing songs to share our culture with each other, we're actually sending those songs to our ancestors and the Creator. So in essence, it's essentially a prayer. You know, today a lot of people are suffering in this province due to wildfires. There's obviously a lot going on in BC and across Canada right now with the recovery of remains on residential school sites. And so I just ask that everybody take the time to pray in their own way while our drummers perform for us. So to introduce our drumming group, we have Jason Thompson from Leq'a, Councillor Phil Sherwood from Leq'a, Councillor Chris Silver from Semá First Nation, and Ron Modesta from Mathexwi First Nation. So I'll ask these gentlemen to step up, please. So before we move on to our speakers, I'm just going to have Jason Thompson come up and explain to you the blanketing and some other cultural practices that we've witnessed here today.
Siam Nisiaya Taswalap E Husakwa Mi Li to Equal Skaka Mathexwi Samath Leq'a Tamuch Ha'i will met Siam Nisiaya Oil. Good morning, everyone. My English name is Jason Thompson. My traditional name is Mathexwi. Just a brief explanation before we get into some of the protocol around what you're going to see today. Brief explanation of what you heard today. The first song that you heard comes from our brothers or sisters from Semá, the Khaitaluk song. And also the second song was the song that belongs to Leq'a. We're also going to ask our brother Ron at the end to share the Mathexwi song to finish us off, to acknowledge all the hard work that all of our communities have done to be able to get to this day today. First, a long time ago, when our people would have visitors, this is how we start our ceremonies, by welcoming the people and starting the day in a good way with a prayer, acknowledging where we are and what this land that we stand on today, what it has meant to our people. So it's really fitting that we're here to bring this Etal Squawal, this good feeling to this land that we're sitting on today. Usually when we do these ceremonies, we do a handshake, we call witnesses. Long time ago, we would handshake with handmade items, things that you can take away to make sure that when you go home, you remember what you've seen, what you heard, what you witnessed, and you share that with your communities. In our modern day, today we use handshake with quarters. But due to what's going on in our communities, we're sidestepping from that today. We're just asking everyone to take into your heart and your mind and remember what you see today, because this is how the word and the work is carried forward. From here, I'm going to turn it over to my brother, Thatuch. He's going to do a brief explanation on what you're seeing some of us wear and the differences between those. Hachka, Lahai.
Eilatith, Theoquil Toltel Squi, Talitsaquah, Samath. Good morning, everyone. First, I'd like to introduce myself. Theoquil Tol is my traditional name. I carry two names. Thatuch is my name that I shared with my late father. I'd like to announce that I am standing here on the traditional and shared territories of the Semá, Leq'a, and Mathexwi people. You see, in this ceremony today, you're going to see some people with headbands and blankets, Leq'a. When people were asked to do work on behalf of our families, the family would take a blanket and they would cover one half of their chest over their heart. So when you did the work on behalf of the family, that it was coming from a good place. And they would put a headband on you to make sure that you would have a good mind when you were doing that, showing that the family has claimed you to do the work on behalf of them. A lot of our elected delegates in our Siams and Smalatha, you'll see are wearing swaketh. That was our inheritance from our ancestors. Used to take people almost a whole season to make one swaketh. Historically, our ancestors, our aunties, our great aunts would make this. And when they put that blanket on you, your responsibilities in your life were given to you. To look after your family, to look after your people, to look after your land, to look after your inherent rights. That's where you'll see a lot of our Smalath people, our high status people, are wearing the swaketh to remind that they come from high status people. And they're standing here with us today Sietala, Siam, and Siaya. Baha'i.
I think that was a message when the wind blew away my speaking notes. Thank you very much to our drummers and for the explanation. As we move through our future here, united. BC, City of Mission, Leq'a, Mathexwi, Semá. Education's key. There's a lot for many of us to learn, including ourselves. It's not a secret that with culture stripped away, it's been a struggle for us at home to learn and to share with one another, let alone everybody else. I'd like to take a moment to introduce the speakers with us today, and I'll begin with first Chief Alice McKay of Mathexwi First Nation, a very near and dear friend for probably 25 years and a mentor. Semá Chief Dalton Silver, again, near and dear friend, mentor, at least 25 years of friendship there. And my chief of Leq'a, Chief Alice Thompson. I'm Minister of Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation, Murray Rankin, the Honorable Murray Rankin, the City of Mission, Mayor Paul Horn, and MLA and previous Mayor of Mission, Pam Alexis. And I'd now like to invite Chief Alice McKay of Mathexwi up so she can share a few words.
Good morning, everyone. My traditional name is Yamate Mathexwi. My given name is Alice McKay. I'd like to first of all thank the drummers for opening us up in a good way, our hearts and our minds. And I'd like to thank all of you who are here today. And I'm sorry I have to tiptoe because I can't. I don't think you'll be able to hear me if I don't, but I'm tiptoeing right now. Good exercise, though. Thank you. Thank you. I'd also like to thank Daryl. You know, he talks about being friend. To me, he's family. And all of you that are here today are family. I just want you to know that. So I have my speaking notes, and I'm going to use them because if I don't, I'm going to go all over the place. So I'm going to follow my notes. So first of all, I'd like to thank Daryl for recognizing the people that have worked with us that aren't here right now. And for us, the one that comes to my mind is our past councillor, Louis Julian. He was there with us when this started, and just recently has not council anymore. But we do have a different councillor. So I'm very proud to be standing here on these lands today. It's been a journey, a real journey. I'd also like to say that I believe that my ancestors are standing here with us as well. They've paved this journey for us. They paved the road for us to do this work. And I'm very proud to be able to put my hands up and say thank you. Thank you, Chief Charlie Mathexwi. Thank you to everyone that worked before me to help me be where I am today. So in 2011, we have a person in our office that we call our referrals officer. And in 2011, a referral came across her desk and she brought it to my attention. So we took that referral and we went up to where it needed to go, and we had that referral rescinded because what they were going to do at that time was they were going to give away our land, and that's our land we have today. So together, Mathexwi, Sumas, and Leq'a have worked hard. We've worked hard, and thanks to our lawyers, our legal, for helping us get to where we are today. But I do want to say that we can't be followers. We have to be leaders. And when we seen that referral come across our desk, we're like, no. When I first became chief in 1998, I was at a meeting, and one of my fellow chiefs that isn't here with me anymore got up and spoke. And he said, whenever Crown lands become available, that goes back to the First Nations, because that was our land to begin with. And I hold that dear to my heart. And that was Chief Sam Douglas. He said that, and I'm like, I will always remember that. So when you think about our journey for the past 10 years, the magnitude of this occasion really hits home. The chain of events led to a collaboration with our family at Leq'a, as I said, Sumas and Mathexwi, between our three nations. The lands hold very deep significance to Mathexwi and to the Stolo people, because we're letting them know when this happens, do this work. Many of our members, including myself, attended residential school. And it's really hard to talk about, so I'm not going to talk about it. The legacy of harm caused by these schools is etched deeply within our intergenerational families. The legacy of harm still is it runs very rampant in our communities today. And I'm very thankful that the work that started is being started, and I hope it goes in a good way. With the return of these lands to Leq'a, Mathexwi, and Sumas, we open a new chapter in the relationship with our neighbors, the City of Mission, one of who we've worked with right from the beginning, and it was kind of touch and go for a little while, but we did it. But they've always been good. Don't get me wrong. They've always been good. They've always been willing to work with us. And then one which is supported by our partners at the province. The parklands offer a unique and exciting opportunity to collaborate with Mission on a shared public space which is respectful of our history. The development of the two smaller parcels, and we don't like the word parcels, as I was told by one of my fellow governing body, but we'll use that word today, is a component of overall strategy to move towards self-sufficiency. There is much work to be done, and it's going to take some time. Now, this is where I need help, because I am sorry, I admire the youth that get up here and speak our language, but I can't say this word in front of me. But what it means is paddling together. Together, we have set the scene for a day in which our children and the children of Mission can grow, laugh, and play together, acknowledging the truths about our history and looking forward to a brighter future. And I really believe that with all my heart, because one thing we want to do is we want to learn to work together. And I really thank Daryl, Councillor McKay, for acknowledging the word reconciliation. My grandson brought that to our attention in a meeting one time, and he said, it's not reconciliation, because there was never a relationship to begin with. But now let's do it. Let's build that relationship, and I think that's what we're doing. So with that, I think I had 3 minutes. I think I used 3 minutes, so thank you so much. Have a good day, everyone.
Put your stopwatch away, Brenda.
Oh, no, it's going on.
Thank you, Chief McKay. Our next speaker is Chief Dalton Silver of Semá.
Yes, thank you, Daryl. Everybody, thank Chief McKay for the words. And I want to acknowledge the leadership and everyone here around the table. We spent a lot of years talking about this. It's a historic day today, and a big step for a lot of us. Daryl mentioned earlier Colossenton, Councillor Murray Ned, and Thatach is on our council, my nephew over there. I'd like to acknowledge them for opening us up in a good way and bringing the ancestors to be here with us. A lot of us share in the Stalo territory, we share common ancestry throughout the territories, throughout the Coast Salish territories. I want to acknowledge Minister Murray Rankin, MLA Pam Alexis, and Mayor Horn. I'm thankful you're here, figuratively stepping into the canoe with us. I think this day today is an expression of what we can do when we pull together. I think the strength of the chiefs and the councils and the people of our respective nations is shown here today, and I'm really grateful. I have to say my name, Lumhayaltoch. It's a Chilkoyak name passed down from my mother's side. Our relatives throughout the Coast Salish territory, we all acknowledge in the histories of our peoples, you can usually tell where a person comes from when that name is called, or Huamuchsqui, as we say. I think one of the things I'm so proud of today, in light of a lot of the history that is coming out right now, I did attend the school up the way here, St. Mary's Indian Residential School, for a couple of years. I used to walk through here, go to a store down the road here, or go into the city of Mission, but we had to be back at a certain time, and that was our little bit of a freedom on Saturday afternoon. But I think with everything that's gone on, I really want to say I'm so proud that this is happening in a way of our people of the past, in the historic way, in the cultural way of our people. The Chwalmuch Mistimuch. You know, my nephew talked about the Squochoch, and I'll share with you, my late grandfather served as chief from a time when he was old enough to speak for people that asked him to Lachitil. He was a chief in Chilliwack, Chief Richie Malloway. I was there when he received one of these, and he was so emotional. He had served as chief for nearly 50 years before he received one of these. And he wasn't sure that he'd ever be presented one, and he rarely ever showed emotion, but he was so grateful. And so to wear one of these is such a great honor amongst our people. And the way that the people here have been blanketed, my nephew mentioned the ones that are doing the work, the blanket placed on you the way it is on everyone here, the former committee members, the council. I got to acknowledge Bram Rogachevsky, Maya, Devaj, the work they've done for us over the years on what we're trying to achieve here. But the way you're blanketed today in this manner, it's a great honor. This is one of the highest honors that Coast Salish people can put on you, is to blanket you in such a way. I need you to acknowledge, I need you to know that you know, we're holding you in high esteem by doing this. And I want to say that I'm so grateful that it's done in ceremony, because everything that has happened to our people in the past, right from first contact with the smallpox, with the residential schools, and everything else, we're not supposed to remember this. The idea was that we would not be who we are, and the strength of our people is such that we've maintained who we are, we've maintained our identity, and we still know who we are today. And there are a lot of our young people that are learning the cultural ways. And my late grandfather, Talachitil, and my late uncle, I have to mention, Ilu Alak, my nephew's grandfather. They told me when I was growing up that there was so much done to our people and so many things happened that only the strong survived. And I see that strength on display here amongst Mathexwi, Leq'a, Semá, and our people who really stand us up and put us in these positions. And I just want to be thankful to them, and I want to be so grateful. I want to thank everyone for being here and taking the time. It's a historic day today, and I think it's a start of something where we can look forward to moving forward together with the respective governments within our territories. And I think this is a big step in that direction.
Thank you, Chief Silver. Our next speaker I'd like to invite up is Chief Alice Thompson from Leq'a.
E swel siam tasiaya. Meka tel squi telitsa qua Leq'a siam. My English name is Alice Thompson. I am Chief Counselor of Leq'a First Nation. My traditional name is Leq'a. I want to thank Chief Silver and Chief McKay for opening up with those wonderful words, giving us the history of where we've come from, because the elders always say you need to know where you've come from and in order to know where you're going. This feels to me like we are coming full circle, and it's been a journey, and I've sat back and I've watched this journey unfold with our communities backing us, the strong leaders that we have, with the City of Mission coming to the table and helping to unfold that relationship, the province coming together and joining us in that circle, which became a very sacred circle in my eyes. Had it not been for the people that were behind us, pushing us along the way, leaving us those teachings that were provided to us by our ancestors, we wouldn't be here today as strong, coming back as strong as we have. We are also proud to be able to be standing here and sharing in this announcement and in sharing what we believe is a part of who we are. There are so many opportunities that are going to be in front of us, and I'm so proud to say that people are going to be standing side to side as we move forward with this. I want to as well thank our drummers and our singers as well for opening us up with a prayer, with a song, to ensuring that all of us here, we have our heartbeats coming together as one. Semá. One heart, one mind. It's a beautiful day, and when I was looking at the clouds this morning, I'm thinking, oh, I hope it holds out. And I, for one, held off on putting on my own shwakot because I thought it was going to be so hot that I would be sweating. Thank you, the speakers in front of me as well, too, because you covered a lot, and it doesn't leave much more for me to say. But my hands go up to each and every one that played a part in this and will continue to play a part in this and will advance it where it needs to go. We will be sharing in the lands, ensuring that all of our children come together. We are not segregated. We are all one. We all have a heartbeat. We all have blood running through our veins. And for those that are not with us yet, those that are unborn, they will be here to see the fruits of all the labor that has gone on ahead of them. And it is my hope that all of those teachings that we have today grow and strengthen and help lift us up as we continue on that journey in this relationship and of unfolding that shift that has happened in the public that started when those young people revealed themselves in Kamloops, to Kamloops. And as I heard before, the time came when they said, during the time of the pandemic, that it's time to make this change. Those young spirits revealed themselves at a time when the public needed to become aware of what has happened, and it's still happening now. And I will be here the day when the same thing happens to the lands in our territory here as well, too. And I'll be here to support those individuals who will be traumatized yet again. And all we can do is pick them up, wrap our love around them, and just to be there for them. So I thank everybody for being here today, and I know that we're going live here. So again, thank you, everyone. Kus hai.
Thank you, Chief Thompson. So, just real quick, proper protocol would be that I would call each of the chiefs up by their traditional names, but also I've been taught that if you're going to butcher the name, don't do it. It's actually almost disrespectful if you do, so I'm choosing to use my first language, which I'm much stronger at, and call them by their English given names. Our next guest to come up and speak is the Honourable Minister Rankin. Can you come up and join us?
Thank you very much, Daryl. And I want to say a particular acknowledgement with gratitude for Chief Alice McKay, Chief Alice Thompson, and Chief Dalton Silver, and your respective counselors who are here in the society. And I'm even going to say thank you to the lawyers, because I noticed someone else did that. That doesn't happen very often, so it's very much a good news day when that happens. I don't know about you, but I am so happy. I know we're here observing all of the social distancing and all the rules, but I've said to a number of you, this is my very first time not seeing you on Zoom. I've seen many of you on Zoom, but to actually be here with real people, I just think it's amazing. So I am delighted to be here. And what a great news story we have to tell the people of British Columbia, indeed Canada. I don't know of any other agreement that's like this. This is an agreement among First Nations. This is an agreement that involves the City of Mission, and involves the province of British Columbia coming together to do something quite remarkable. And others have said that, so I don't want to simply repeat it. But it is spectacularly positive that we are here today in the traditional communities, the territories of the Leq'a, the Mathexwi, and the Sumath people. It's just such an enormous honor to be here. And I use the word honor thinking of what was said about the importance and acknowledging the implications of being blanketed is very profound for me. I also want to acknowledge, with thanks, the leadership of Mayor Paul Hall for being here. Mayor Paul, Paul Horn has been a leader that succeeded my colleague and friend, MLA Pam Alexis, who's here as well, and I acknowledge with thanks your leadership as the MLA for Abbotsford Mission. And I see also in the audience my friend Bob Deeth, who is the MLA, of course, for Maple Ridge Mission. Thank you for also being here to witness it. And thank you all for being here to witness this important agreement that we're here to sign today. I think people ask me, from, as I said, the Union of BC Municipalities and other people, what can we do? And I'm going to use the word advisedly, Chief McKay, when I say reconciliation, but that's a word that we use a lot. It's in the title of my ministry. So acknowledging very much what you said, I still think that people ask me all the time, what can we as municipalities do to work toward reconciliation with the nations in our community? And I'm going to talk about what has been done here today, because I don't know of any other example where we've achieved protection of the values, the fabulous landscape that's behind us, as well as providing land for much-needed housing for the community and economic development in the future. It's positive in every single way, and I'm proud that British Columbia can be paddling together and part of this important journey of reconciliation. I also have to acknowledge with despair that we're standing very close to where, as Chief Silver pointed out, we have a residential school, the St. Mary's Residential School. And I know all of us feel, particularly those people who are intergenerational survivors and survivors themselves of that experience, the trauma that affects us, as has been said, to this very day. And I acknowledge that painful part of our history. But I also respect the resilience of the communities that led to this day as well. And I'm hoping that we, as we paddle together, we don't lose sight of that, the need to be strong and collaborate together. So this example today of reconciliation in action that we're going to be signing in a few moments is a day of great joy. I think a lot of us should be feeling as we think about what the future together would look like as British Columbians and as Canadians. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Minister Rankin. Our next speaker that I'd like to invite up is Mayor Paul Horn.
Well, as Councillor McKay said, this is a day when everybody should begin some learning, so I am going to try in the spirit of learning, to open and close with some words in Halkamail. So I'll start with just East Swale. And I will also, we've had some fantastic acknowledgements of others who are here. I do want to take a moment to acknowledge the other members of Mission Council who are here with us today. Councillor Davies, Councillor Harar, Councillor Hamilton, and Councillor Gill. And I know that Councillor Crawford wishes he could be here as well. I also want to take a moment just to acknowledge the young people who are in the audience today as witnesses, because I look at this day as a day of handing something over from those of us who sometimes can be a little stuck in our ways to those who will evolve and carry it forward. And so I'm so grateful that young people are in our audience and around us here this afternoon, or this morning. Myself and Council are grateful to be gathered on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Leq'a, Semá, Mathexwi, and other Stolo peoples. It is a very good day to share these lands. A great deal of history has occurred in this place. For greater than 10,000 years, the land beneath our feet and all that we can see from it was stewarded by Indigenous peoples. They took care of this place, and when contact occurred, they welcomed Europeans into it with a spirit of trust and partnership. But in the space of a few hundred years, my ancestors managed to damage all of that. Too often, we treated the land with disregard and Indigenous peoples with disrespect, and the legacy lays at our feet of all of that harm, and it's time to learn from it. Today, we have a chance to start another chapter in our local history, and it is one that embraces Indigenous values of land stewardship and community. It is one that learns from past hurt and tragedy and gives substance to the ideas of reconciliation, partnership, and brotherhood. I'm grateful to be a part of this moment, but I cannot take any of the credit for it. Discussions about the transfer of these lands go back to my very first time on council, and I know that they have taken many turns along the way. I wish to thank those who saw the possibilities and to those who have persevered to ensure that we have arrived where we are today, including many First Nations, municipal, and provincial staff and leaders. I raise my hands to all of them. For myself and for council, this is also a moment for humility. We know that many harms were done when people who looked and sounded like me stood before an audience and began to pronounce what we believed was best for others. we should have listened. We should have let others take or share the lead. And if we had done so, we would have celebrated more moments like this one. Mission's name was based on the idea that there was something inherently wrong with Indigenous culture, something that needed to be changed. Today, we need a new definition of our mission. Our aim is not to change others around us, but to grow within ourselves. Our new mission is not to teach, but to learn. Our new mission is not to succeed at the expense of others, but to triumph together. Mission wants to lead the way in reconciliation. But that will mean looking at leadership in a new way. It means recognizing that we will only succeed if we all paddle together. To each of you and to the Creator, we raise our hands in gratitude for this moment, all the promise that it holds. Haicho.
Thank you, Mayor Horn, and that's a great testament to what we're doing here today. So thank you for that. Next up, I'd like to invite MLA Pam Alexis.
And I didn't get the memo to have it in a binder, and I am concerned about the wind, so I'm going to hold on to my papers because I don't want what happened to you, Daryl, happened to me. So, good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for the opportunity to share as well. I want to acknowledge and add my thanks to the dignitaries joining us here today, these dedicated and passionate people with whom I'm lucky enough to share this space with today. Chief Alice Thompson of Leq'a, Chief Alice McKay of Mathexwi, Chief Dalton Silver of Semá, Mayor Paul Horn, the City of Mission, Minister Murray Rankin. Welcome, sir, to our beautiful community. I'd also like to thank you, Daryl, Councillor Daryl McKay, for his fine work in keeping us all on track. And I want to acknowledge my dear friend and colleague, Bob Deeth, the MLA for Maple Ridge Mission. He's been a great supporter of this project. And so please know when I speak here this morning of my own gratitude and passion for this work and its participants, I'm echoing his sentiments as well. As the MLA for Abbotsford Mission, where my team and I work on the unceded and ancestral territories of the Stolo people, including Kwantlen, Leq'a, Mathexwi, Sumath, and Skowlitz territories, let me begin simply with this. This is a special day. There's that wind, Daryl. Today we celebrate a historic land transfer agreement between Mission, the provincial government, and the LMS Society, one that will see approximately 60 hectares of undeveloped Crown land change hands. It is a day of both reconciliation and opportunity, and one that should be remembered for years to come. But I believe our celebrations must be tempered by what has come before and the work that we must all commit to ahead. By now, we all know that this year has brought many of us face to face with a very real devastation that our governments and some of our churches visited upon our First Nations children and their families. This land we are standing upon today was site to some of those crimes. This agreement is not just about the transfer of this land. It is emblematic of our renewed understanding between all the parties involved and a renewed commitment to keep these relationships intact going forward. It's important to remember those who stepped up to help make all of this possible. I want to acknowledge the key role the province has played here, as well as the historic formation of the nonprofit LMS Society, who have worked so hard to get us where we are today. I'd also like to acknowledge the City of Mission for their contributions, in particular staff, whose efforts have certainly not gone unnoticed, in particular Glenn Robertson, who started the journey for the City of Mission many years ago, who deserves credit for working on this project even beyond his retirement. Just remarkable. And he can't be here with us today, but I want him to know that his efforts are appreciated. Crucially, Glenn believed that the key to any undertaking, big or small, was building and sustaining meaningful relationships. You had to put in the time to not only understand the goal you were working towards, but the people across the table from you. Only then could you hope to effect positive change. I think it's safe to say that in the years ahead, that's a lesson we should all keep close to our hearts as we continue our journey of reconciliation. I'm proud to say that the City of Mission continues to champion that value. It's a leader in the province in how they conduct themselves with First Nations and all stakeholders. It's only through these valued relationships that we have arrived at today, a day where Mission is one of the very first communities in British Columbia to ever see a reconciliation agreement of this kind. I walk this strip of park almost every day. It's significant for me and has real personal impact. It grounds me, it connects me to the area's history. And after hearing Minister Mark's remarks yesterday, my daily visits are more important than ever. The true value of the land we stand on is our commitment to do what needs to be done today and in the future. The true opportunity lies in this being a model for others in their vision of reconciliation going forward, and that may be today's greatest legacy. Today, the drums will ring out to celebrate this momentous agreement. They haven't been heard in person for far too long. Each beat will be electric, but comforting. To me, each beat is a pulse. It marks our steps. Let's go forward boldly and compassionately, step by step by step. It's been an honor to participate in today's events. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pam. So next up, you'll get to witness the signing of the Leq'a. This is, as mentioned many times already, historic. So first I'm going to invite our drummers up again. They'll perform while we do the signing to cut the awkward silence while we're signing. So what I'll do is I'll invite our drummers up to join us, and I'm going to invite the signers up as well. We'll all sign here for opportunity for photos. So I'll invite up Chief Alice Thompson of Leq'a, Chief Alice McKay of Mathexwi, Chief Dalton Silver of Semá, Governing Body Representative Cynthia Collins and LMS Director and Councillor Murray Ned of Semá, Mayor Paul Horn, and the Honourable Minister Murray Rankin.
Oh
Thank you again, fellas. That was awesome. The sound of the drum is as MLA Alexis had mentioned. It's like a pulse, but it's our heartbeat. That's the belief of our people and our culture. So next is we're going to do a presentation. There will be gifts shared to acknowledge this day. It's again a cultural practice of our people that when we have these types of events or historical events, I guess, if you will, we try to acknowledge that with some type of mementos, as was mentioned earlier by Jason and Chris. So I'm going to call up Minister Rankin, who will present a gift on behalf of the province.
Thank you, Daryl. Thank you. Chief Thompson? Please accept this from your... Thank you. Chief Alice McKay? Thank you for everything you've done. Thank you. Chief Silver? On behalf of the LMS Society, can you accept this from the province?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, I'll call up Mayor Horn. Also, the City of Mission, I almost said district. I'm still getting used to the big change here, but the City of Mission also would like to present some gifts as well. I'll buy them a little bit of time. I just want to give some thanks to the City of Mission CAO, Mike Uni. Mike's been outstanding to work with since he's taken on the role after Ron Poole had left. Ron Poole was another fabulous gentleman that we got to work with over the years. But since Mike's come on, we met a number of years ago because Mike coached my daughter in soccer, but it's been a breath of fresh air. I've been with council with Leq'a for over 20 years now, and never before MLA Alexis became mayor and the current council that's here did I feel the relationship that I do today. And a testament to that is when the recovery occurred into Kamloops, I was driving home from work and Mike contacted me, and instantly the city was at our beck and call to console our councils of the LMS group and our people. So I just I feel obligated that we recognize Mike for his care for our people. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McKay, and I do want to acknowledge the fantastic work done by our staff, and in fact the gifts we give today are gifts of this beautiful place, photographed by one of the district, or City of Mission, see I did it too, City of Mission staff, Kelly Cameron. And so the first of these for Chief Silver to the Sumas First Nation. The next, Chief McKay from Mathexwi. And next, for Leq'a, Chief Thompson. And finally, the LMS itself, and presenting on behalf of LMS? Sure is. He's already up there. Thank you very much for everything that you've done. It's been extraordinary. Thank you.
Thank you. Brenda, can you take Yeah. Well, eventually, I'm hoping that LMS will have an office somewhere on these lands where we'll be able to hang that up. So next, I'm going to call Chief Dalton Silver, who will present gifts on behalf of the LMS to the City of Mission, the province of BC, and as well, we have a third one. Yeah. Sorry, BC and the City of Mission.
Thanks, Daryl, and it's an honor to be able to be here and to share this with our neighbors and our newfound friends. I believe when we get in the canoe together, we need to be pulling in the same direction. Semá, as Chief McKay and Chief Thompson, I think, both expressed that. One heart, one mind. And the significance of this gift is the paddle in which we do that. We need not go around in circles, but move in the same direction. And I call Minister Rankin, accept this on behalf of the LMS Society, the Leq'a, the Mathexwi, and the Semá peoples. Explanation. And you'll notice as well on the paddles the salmon, the three of them. The salmon was the main source of sustenance for our people over the millennia in this area, the Stolo people. We call the Stolo, which people call the Fraser now. To us, it's the Stolo. There are many, the Stolo means river, basically. There are many rivers in our territories. They all have names. The Chalkoyak, the Semá, the Chief Alice, all the different Stolos in our territory, the Nuksaks. But this one was called simply Stolo. As to our people, it's the river of rivers, the giver of life to everything there. Sta'achten is the word in our language, means everything that comes from the water that sustained our people, that we all depended on. So very significant. Thank you for accepting. And now, asking Mayor Paul Horn to accept on behalf of the City of Mission a gift from our peoples.
Thank you so much. It will be very proudly displayed at City Hall. Thank you very much.
Yes, yeah.
So the paddles aren't meant to be totally literal, but they represent what we're doing here today, pulling together. And Maya actually pointed out a valuable point this morning when we were opening them up, and she pointed at the three salmon and indicated it represents the LMS, the City of Mission, and the province of British Columbia. And I thought that was pretty significant and something worth mentioning. So thank you. I want to thank everybody for doing all this work. You know, it's taken dozens of people over the years. I wish I could stand up here for 10 minutes and talk about every individual, but that would, well, 10 minutes for me is probably more like a half an hour. So I did already mention Ron, and I wanted definitely to acknowledge Mike, but MLA Alexis already had covered off that Glenn Robertson did play a pivotal role in this process early on, and after retirement he had come back and joined us. Sharon Fletcher, also from the City of Mission, who had retired partway through and then was replaced by Gina McKay, who is also very helpful with us. And then we have Maureen Sinclair, who's actually present here with us today, who's been a fantastic help. She's worked very hard on the park management planning. There's signage that was up in around the park that had been taken down a number of years back, and they're diligently working on getting effective signage up with more exceptional educational points in it to start to actually share the truth and really hit the stride of reconciliation, for lack of a better term. I think it's also very important that we acknowledge the work of, this might sound crazy, of the negotiators from the province of British Columbia, Heinz Dick and Chandra Crow. Their level of benevolence and respect I have not experienced from any government over the couple of decades that I've worked with my community. Also, unfortunately, the Premier Horgan couldn't be with us today, but a thanks to him, because I met with him briefly. We kind of quickly had a meal in 2019 at the ministers' gathering. He made some time to sit with me, and after we spoke to him, we pretty much were on the Treasury Board agenda and got to advance quickly forward after that. And then I know that Bram Rogachevsky and Madhu Vaj from BR Law have been recognized, but honestly, we're not standing here today without them. You're more than lawyers to us, your family, and we really, really do appreciate all of your work and effort with us. So I thank everybody for being here today. We'd now like just to call everybody up so we can have some photos taken with the agreement. So if I could have Mayor Horn, Minister Rankin, MLA Alexis, Chief Alice McKay, Chief Alice Thompson, Chief Dalton Silver join us for a quick photo op with this agreement, that would be fantastic. Okay, so thank you again, once again, for helping us celebrate today's event. As mentioned, like, it's a historical day. It's a day that we're all definitely going to remember, especially my colleagues who've worked so diligently over the years. That concludes this part of the event, but at this point I'm going to call up Marlene, who will moderate the media Q&A.
Thank you very much. As a reminder to media on the phone, please press *1 to ask a question. That's *1 to enter the queue. It looks like we actually don't have any questions on the phone today. Do we have any questions in person? Today is from Patrick Penner, Mission City Record.
Hi. Yeah, I'm curious if Minister Rankin thinks that the deal here today will set a precedent for future land transfers across the province. I'm not sure. I know people have been saying this is historic and it's rare and there's nothing like it, but I'm wondering if there are any others that are in the works or if there's opportunities to do so.
Well, thanks very much. And I think it is unique, but I also hope it doesn't stay unique. I think what's happened here, as I said in my remarks, is a precedent that other municipalities with neighboring nations could replicate. And I'm encouraging members of other communities who come to me and say, what can we do? What can we do as a municipality to work on reconciliation in our own way? I will salute the leadership of Mayor Horn and, of course, the LMS Society, each of the nations that are here today, because it really does have the opportunity to be replicated elsewhere. Specifically to your question, if I know of any others, no. I think that points to the uniqueness of what we've achieved today.
Did you have a follow-up?
Yeah. So it's taken like 10 years to get this thing through. What are some of the obstacles that all the stakeholders have faced in actually seeing this thing through? It's a very general question, but
I may start, and if other colleagues would like to amplify, I'd be happy for that to happen. This is a complicated arrangement. 60 hectares of land next to a booming municipality, the city of Mission, and bringing three nations together. They created a society. They worked on the transfer. It was complicated. It involves land that will be preserved in a park with park management status, with all of the stakeholders that you'd expect to be involved in that, but co-management with the nations. And the fact that there is economic development that will take place elsewhere that would likewise be subject to zoning laws and permitting arrangements. Think of the mapping that's required. Think of all of those different issues that have to be addressed. These things take time, and I think they've done it right. And I salute, once again, the lawyers who are with us today for all of their help, because this is not easy. And I also want to thank Daryl for pointing out the contribution of the negotiators for the province of British Columbia, because I think there has been something quite marvelous achieved here.
Thank you very much. That's all. Or did you have a...
I'm going to invite my colleague Stan Morgan up to also address this, because there was a lot of red tape that was hit along the way, but I'll let Stan address some of that.
Thank you, Daryl, and I do appreciate the question. I think it's an important question to have answered, because the fact of the matter is that this land is vitally important to us as the three nations, Leq'a, Mathexwi, and Semá. But the fact is that all three parties that sat at this table for the last decade or so, we have to look out for our interests of each other's parties as well. We all have constituents that we have to answer to, and we wanted to make sure that, given the nature of this parcel, where it sits in the community, where it sits in all of our nations, that all of those groups and all of those people that take pride in in how this land looks and how it's going to operate in the future had a say in what that actually is going to have, how that deal is actually going to come to fruition. So I don't think that it was a difficult process as far as the actual outcome that we were all trying to seek for. It's just making sure that everybody's input was actually put into that, and that takes time. So yes, there was a little bit of stick handling that had to happen, but throughout the whole process, I think we can all say that we had the same goal in mind. It just took time to get there. So thank you.
Thank you, Stan. And just to further add to that, honestly, one of the hang-ups that we ran into was that sponsor crown grants under legislation cannot be transferred to a First Nation community. So honestly, that hang-up actually worked out very well for Leq'a, Mathexwi, and Semá because it created the path for us to form our society and begin our journey together, which hopefully is going to extend long past just this deal, and will see us continue to be the stewards of our shared territory together.
Thank you, everyone. That's all the questions we have for today. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Just to conclude, everybody, everybody's welcome to take a walk. I can give you a description of the path you can follow that will take you across the land that this transfer is covering. So if you follow this gravel path through